Club. It's like I prepared this earlier. Yes, it's Maude's Book Club. Got a little housekeeping to do. Not only did we sing 3 bouts of Happy Birthday in the pre-hangout for my members plus, if you would like to be sung Happy Birthday horribly, consider joining Members Plus. Head over to patreon.com/Maude's Book Club. We have 3, 5, 9. We have some tiers. Not these ones, but these ones where you can join up for $5 and unlock the Discord. You can vote on books and schedules, and you can submit authors questions. If you want to be in the Members Plus, we get to hang out in a Discord call before the show, and they actively participate in all book club discussions. If you want merch, well, you help design merch that no one else can buy, and you get it every 3 months. There's a tier for that. And if you want a game with moi, we do that a couple of times a month as well. Turns out I saw a couple of those clips. Stargirl edited some where I was headshotting MFs in Halo, and I feel like a badass. Adam Vision said, can I post pictures of my feet in the Discord? I mean, that's not a tier on the Patreon. I have a rule. We don't do feet for free, but if you want to, in the spirit of Dungeon Crawler Carl, give me them feet. No, that's disgusting. Anyway, Toast Post is in the chat. Carlos is in here saying, hi, Maude. Brush Kid said it was a beautiful rendition. I just know you were saying that with a quavering voice because it was not. Baden says we're a great book club. We're not so great as a choir. Also, speaking of merch, if you like this sweater or jumper, if you're Aussie, or if you'd like to get some Halloween merch where we encourage you to read more books. Such a good pun. We've got some merch happening at maudsbookclub.com/store? Shop? Store. And what's the code, Maddie?
It's MBC Boo.
MBC Boo gets you 15% off. We're only doing that from now until the 1st of November for spooky season. So if you want to deck yourself out in some Maude's Book Club merch, we've got sweatshirts, t-shirts, notebooks, mugs, beanies, caps.
Missed opportunity.
What? With what?
Could have made the code MBOOC.
Yeah, but I feel like that sounds worse. And boo kiss it. Like,
I'm just saying. You could have.
Adam, bitch. Adam, software update tonight. I updated so Adam has asked me to update my software on my iPhone because apparently if I turn something on or off or whatever, he and I will be able to talk better because he has Android. I have no idea what he's talking about. I told him to measure his expectations. On my iPhone. Jeff, I can hear me through your I can hear me through your screen, so I'm just gonna mute you real quick. If you could get a headset on, that would be amazing, and that will stop that from going on. But if you can mute your page, Jeff, that's you real quick. No, I thought you did it, and I'm still hearing it. So okay, I've done one update, Adam, and I have another update tonight. Calm your tits. It's happening. It's always RCS. Yeah. It's RCS that he's talking about. What is RCS, academic?
Real-time communication something. I can't remember what the S stands for.
That's what he's trying for. That was the goal with that one. But I was too Rich Communication Services. I was two updates behind for that one. Skull Cleaver, thank you so much for resubbing for 14 months in a row, 37 in total. I saw that you were playing some Fallout earlier. Skull Cleaver is a part of the Game On tier, which means we are now Steam friends, so we know exactly what we're playing at any given time. Tim, you called me out as well when I was like, what's this game? I like to play that on Threads. What's this game? And you were like, it's whatever the game is, I was playing Heroes Hour, which is what Adam gifted me because it's kind of like a pixelated Heroes of Might and Magic. You were just calling out because you know what I'm playing on Steam. And I played a lot of that the last couple of weeks. Oh,
it was an educated guess.
And that is information that you're privy to because you are also part of the Game On tier. Yay. Adam says, I want to richly communicate with my favorite person, but she doesn't want to. Oh, wow. Adam's having an actual tantrum. Keep crossing them arms, sunshine. Also, if you missed it, on Tuesday, I was lucky enough to interview Calahan Skogman, who is the author of Blue Graffiti. We were able to talk about the show that he was on, Shadow and Bone. Why is that so important? Because we covered not only the trilogy of Shadow and Bone, the duology of Six of Crows, which is the character that he played, Matthias Helvar. And we also kept reading them books, but honestly, that was like my brain turned to mush by that stage because I didn't really care. Why is that? I don't like it when shitty characters become slightly less shitty, and that's a redemption arc, because frankly, it's not. I'm looking at you, Lisa, for that one, because I know we don't agree. You're slightly less shitty, and that's a reason to celebrate? Yay. Have you considered just being not shitty? Yeah. That's it. Oh, and we're supposed to be happy. Like, get out of here with that. Oh, my swear count's already going off. The VOD of that interview is up already if you would like to watch it. I posted a clip on Maude's Book Club. Well, actually, no, Maddie did. I posted it on TikTok, but Maddie posted it on Instagram. And someone commented, let me read it verbatim because I need to collectively see everyone's mouths drop. Oh, kidding. I already told everyone about this in the pre-show. All right. Some comments. I'm still reeling from the cancellation of Shadow and Bone, says a comment. How dare they not let Ben Barnes keep bringing his morally grey shadow daddy energy. Those crows were so good. And then the Grey Beaner 4 says, I was devastated to not see his character's arc through, but on an unrelated note, I could totally see Calahan Skogman as Darrow. Yep. Yes. So let's make that happen. Let's get some fan art drummed up. Let's petition that because I think we found our live action Darrow. Holy shit. I can't believe that I read Red Rising, all of them, and that I interviewed Calahan and I did not put 2 and 2 together.
Will they go the Captain America route, though, and just have his, like, face superimposed on somebody smaller, and then he gets bigger? Because I just looked up what he actually looks like. It's like, he's a big dude.
He a big dude. And Calahan was saying, oh, in my spare time, I'm just training for a fitness competition. And my response was, I can think of 9,000 other things that I would rather do than that. KPW says, yeah, but is he swole like Carl? Lisa says, I mean, I was saying I wouldn't have been able to concentrate if I was interviewing him because he was just so damn handsome. I concentrated. Professional over here. Even though he has my biggest weakness, which is
a mashed potato.
Potato personality, hot potato. Was it hot potato? Baked potato.
No, it was baked potato.
Was that was City, wasn't it? That was City roasting me. That's because you like a baked potato personality, pretty boy. And I was like, ah! Oh, I've never been seen so hard. I hated it.
No disrespect to Cal, because he does seem like a pretty cool guy that you'd want to have.
He seems very intelligent. Yeah. Is there a joke in there, KP Dubs? Why is Wisconsin cheesy? Oh, Colleen liked it. I don't get it. What's the? It's not my country. What is that about?
Cool. That's their big export. Beer and cheese is what Wisconsin
does. Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Basically, you're called a cheesehead if you're like a Packers fan.
Green Bay Packers football fans.
Hold on, Green Bay is in Wisconsin?
You guys, that's sports. She's not going to know.
And American geography. Green Bay is in Wisconsin this whole time.
Yes, ma'am.
Correct.
Green Bay.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Green Bay cheese
I'm from
export.
Minnesota, so Basically, the
Vikings.
Vikings, Packers, they're
Vikings. Do you know how I know
they're
that?
very known rivals.
Lizzo.
That'll be the end of my sports contribution to this conversation, is just to help clarify why they're called cheeseheads.
The Vikings are in Minnesota,
And Keep It Up says it's north of Milwaukee.
which is where all the
Where-
beer is from.
Where's Milwaukee?
In
It's
Wisconsin.
in Wisconsin.
Chicago, North
That's
It's
of
North
in
Chicago.
Wisconsin.
Wisconsin?
Yeah.
Milwaukee
Yeah,
is
yeah,
Wisconsin.
It's in
Yes.
Wisconsin. Yep.
We are blowing your mind with the geography lessons.
Welcome to
tonight.
Learn Geography with
just-
Maude.
Yeah, Maddie's like, this all means nothing to me. These were words. These were places and words. I mean, if there were a question on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire and it was like, what state is Milwaukee in? And there was a state in Canada, I'd have to 50-50 that. Like,
Wait
We
until
don't have states, we have
Explain it, Fred.
provinces.
wait until Maude
Provinces.
finds out. Wait until Maude finds out where Timbuktu is from.
I thought there was a Timbuk one. I don't know why I'm laughing
Get
at
out.
my joke so hard. It's not.
Fun story. Timbuktu is also in Wisconsin.
Shut up.
True
Okay,
story.
that's too much. That's too much geography for Maude in a short amount of time.
You just
Red
wanna keep it on
Panda.
topic.
Red Panda's in the house. Hey, Red Panda, get on in on the call if you would like. Red Panda's gifted some subs, 10 to be in fact to the community. Bobby Tastic, Type 0, Catnip Ninja. Hello, Catnip. They aren't human. Was that an accusation? They aren't. Who's they? They aren't human. What a name. What a name. That's going to keep me bogged down for 3 more seconds. They aren't human. Who are you pointing the finger at? Fino565. Miss Necromancer, where are you? Where's Kate? Oh, this is going to
Her
get
birthday,
clipped. Kate,
so she's probably
today.
celebrating.
Yeah, it's a birthday.
Happy birthday,
She
Kate.
heard about the songs, so she escaped.
Did I miss it again? There's been a lot of birthdays. Kate, happy birthday. Fair enough that you're not here. Roberto Carrera, Bucky B, Mean Morbid, and Pav Entry all got gifted a sub. Thanks to Ro Panda. KP Dub's coming in here being like, hold my beer. Load Zeta, Boom, Bubble, Pa, and Jesh327 all got gifted a sub. Thanks to KP Dubs. Just because there's a hype train. Vaden did the same thing. 10 gifted subs to Bin Bunin. Ardre V. Can we have simpler names? Why do you do this? You could have chosen anything, but instead you gave me a headache. Clinth. I like Clinth. It's the brother of Clunt. Yossi Yee. Combat. BL Blackman. Noom125. Life is so precious. Haumura Brush Kid, hey, you got gifted a sub. Thanks to Vaden. Miami's in Ohio. No, it's not. It's in Florida. There's 2 Miamis now. There's 2 Miamis.
There's Miami in Ohio. There's a college there.
Miami.
There's a
Two Miamis, 2 Washingtons. That one threw
Yep.
me for a while. Every time someone's like,
There's
they're from Washington. No, Seattle. And I'm like,
There's a
There's also
city
a
in
Cairo.
Washington called George.
shout out to George.
There's
Washington.
also a Cairo in Ohio as well.
And a Moscow.
Michigan
Idaho.
has Hell and Paradise and
Mars.
Climax.
Pennsylvania has Mars.
I would like to opt out of this conversation now, if that's okay.
All along,
Is that cool?
Red
Can
Rising
we-
was taking place in Pennsylvania.
To be fair, to keep it on book topics, the only reason I know there's a Cairo in Ohio is because of American Gods.
Hey,
There's
I'll
the
allow
whole
it.
thing.
I'll allow it. Hey, speaking of, regards, Darren. 29 months you've used your Prime again. Thank you so much. Give me those pesos, Jesus. I'm drinking this show. Yum yum. Drink responsibly.
You want to run that back and try again?
Nah, I'm gonna let it die. I'm gonna watch it shrivel, and I'm walking away from it, even though it's begging to be saved. I do not have the compassion or mercy in my heart for that. Ropanda, thank you for resubscribing for 31 months in a row as well. We got a couple of new followers over the last 2 days, but Catch, you gifted a butt ton of subs, 22 to be to be exact. In fact, to be in fact. This will be a good show. You are sitting on the gold throne with subs, but let me read those out. KP, no, why am I doing this? You gifted 22 subs. I thank you so much. The 22 names are there if you just...
I gifted those on Tuesday.
Yeah, you did.
During Cal's stream. I meant to get them in before you started in with the interview, and I just missed it.
You missed it, and I was like, it's like, and I was like, nope.
Okay.
You missed the donation. I must concentrate.
You missed the donation too, so.
Shut up. What was that? No, it doesn't say it in here. Let me scroll. I had 2 new Patreons. Oh, there it is. I can't think of anything clever to put here. You also tipped very generously. You can't do... I mean, you can do whatever you want, but...
Don't
Catch,
tell me what I can and cannot do with my own money.
I think I will. I just started to, and it makes 0 sense to dissuade you at all. But like 22 gift subs and a donation is so generous that I must waggle my finger slightly. Thank you for listening, hearing me out. Toast Post says, host of an Aussie podcast said they're going to visit WA and it always confuses me. That makes so much sense to me. Oh my God, that feels familiar and lovely. WA is Western Australia. Where is Western Australia? It's the west of Australia. Oh my God, see what I'm used to? Do you understand how geography in an Australian mindset makes sense? There are not 2 Western Australias. There is 1 Western Australia because it takes up the western portion of Australia. The capital city is Perth. The sun sets ocean.
Western Australia is just half of Australia.
It really is. And it is also one of the more neglected states because the majority of Australia lives on the east coast, where it's Queensland, New South Wales, and Victoria. And it takes less time to go to New Zealand than it does to Perth. So we're traitors.
West Australia is the Montana of Australia. 12 people live there.
Queensland is the Florida of Australia, and that's where I'm from. Hey, we're talking about Dungeon Crawler Carl. We're 20 minutes in. This book is fire. Speaking of fire, crutch. But we should really get into this. We should get into Flaming Groins with Dungeon Crawler Carl, Butchers Masquerade. It is our book. Chapters 1 to 38 is what we are tackling over the next 1 hour and 40 minutes because we had to talk about geography for some reason. If you haven't read Dungeon Crawler Carl, you are sleeping on a great series. I cannot stop hyping about this series. There's a reason why we've covered the first 4 books. The last time we covered books 3 and 4, I believe, was December. So we have had a hot moment in between. We allowed time for people to catch up and get integrated into the series. Now, some of my Members Plus are new and dove into Dungeon Crawler Carl. Some people thinking there is no way I can read 4 books before book 5. Lies, we all screamed in unison. Lies, you will be able to. Jeff, you have done that. Talk me through what your Dungeon Crawler Carl binge experience has been like. You will need to unmute first. Sorry, I made you mute. Made you mute. Still can't hear you. I don't know why the microphone is not microphoning. He gave me which is like, come back to me. I'll figure it out. Who else has recently read all of the Dungeon Crawler Carl? No, because I forced you all to do it earlier. Oh, Katie did. Let's go, Katie.
I love them, and it's taken all my restraint not to keep reading book 5.
I am proud of you for stopping at 38. What are your highlights? Why did you like this series? Did you think you would like it as much as you did? Did you listen to it or did you read it?
I listened to it. It was just a really easy read, and I didn't feel as guilty listening to it at work. So that was also easier. I just love the characters and just their dynamics and how they banter back and forth, and then they have touching moments, and then they're off to have fun again.
It is a very easy listen. It is so much fun. It is so effortless and rewarding to press next and to just keep going. It is a fantastic series. Jeff, we got you?
I think we're okay now, maybe?
We sure are.
Okay.
Roger, we got you.
Yeah, so everyone told me I had to listen to it, and I don't usually listen to books. I usually just read paper. But I did listen to these first, and yeah, it was amazing to listen, and it was very, very quick and hard to turn off. And I got so into it that I bought like book 1, the hardcover, the new one that came out, and the next 2 are on order. And then I opened my Kindle and I actually read them all the way through to chapter 38 also. So
how was the difference
yeah,
between
great
reading
books.
and listening? Because I've not experienced reading this series yet.
So in some ways, I wish I had read first and then listened, because I think it would have let me have like my own voice. And so, because as I was reading, like all I was hearing was the audiobook.
Yeah. So you would have given it your own voice, and then Jeff Hayes would have come in and literally said, "Hold my beer," and you would have been like, "My goodness."
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. That's an interesting thing though, and maybe worth recommending if I know someone would be open to purchasing both written and listening. Comments are going off at the moment. Terry said, I only had time to re-listen to book 1 and 2. Lisa says, I reread them. KBW says, I read them all in the last 2 weeks. Vaden said the first half of this book has some amazing emotional moments. Lisa says, best audiobooks I have listened to. Brush Kid says, look, I've only listened to bits and pieces of the other books with Katie, and they've been enjoyable. I haven't been able to listen to much of this one, though. And Mira and Dan Darkly saying, I unfortunately didn't get to read or listen to this one, but hey, I came here for the chat. That is one thing about Maude's Book Club that I adore. People show up even if you haven't read the book because it's still a good time, I hope. K. Frito says the audio is superb. Maddie says, I've made a few of my friends listen to the audiobooks. Yeah, but have you listened to them?
I've actually started book 1 on my own time, and it's really good. I've been listening it when I'm at the gym, because what am I supposed to do for 45 minutes on the treadmill?
You get transported into the dungeon and you walk a little faster, that's for sure. Yeah, I love it. Hey, another one. That's the goal over here. Aaron says this is a series, that would be too easy just to be a series of hijinks and hilarious shenanigans, but quickly shows the real drama, the tragedy and heartfelt moments that comes together to make a wonderful experience. Jimmy says, look, I've only read it, but a lot of people have listened to it. Susie says, by the way, I didn't realize this was a book change for this month until last Sunday after I got Lightbringer. Fortunately, I got everything on time. Susie, thank you so much for that. If you're a part of the Discord, that is probably the number one way to get up-to-date changes of the schedule so you can keep informed. If you're already in there, I apologize because, yeah, we changed things around. I don't know if you've met me, but committing to anything has been a real problem, let alone choosing and selecting books in advance. Sometimes majority of the time I make decisions based on how I feel. And then I convince people to get on board with that. I'd like to think there was an essence of democracy that takes place, but Catch, you have a saying about democracy in Maude's Book Club?
Oh, it's a democracy.
There it is. Yeah. So I allude to the fact. But if you want to be a member and vote, come on.
Need the air quotes, vote.
I do. There are some things that I have not wanted to do, but the majority, persuaded otherwise. Terry says, I love that in book 5, Carl changes, you will not break me, to I will break you. Oh, we love that. He getting mad. This one. Darren says, I started book 5 way too early. Same. Over here, same. I put it off thinking that I would land it right in time. No. Too fast. It was over too quickly. So I read books one. Hold on, I read books 1, 2, and half of 3 after I had to stop. Holy hell! So did you re-listen to, or is this your no? You've done a Dungeon Crawler Car before, no? Yes, yes, yes. Are you typing when you could be talking? Yeah, yeah, I saw that too. Did you want to tell me?
Yeah, I'm a physical read only. But yeah, I started like 3 weeks ago. Foolishly.
Hold on, had you done Dungeon Crawler Car before?
And not book 5. I hadn't read book 5, so I stopped at book 4. So this was all new, and so then it was started book 5. Thinking it was gonna take me a little while, and then I was done in like 5 days, and I'm like, oh shit, what do I do now? So I went back and needed to read it to get my Dungeon Crawler Carl fix. So I started with books 1 and 2, and I'm halfway through book 3. So I'm gonna jump back to 5 today, and then go back to 3 to finish it after that.
Oh, that's some dangerous reading, because I know some people don't like to flip like that. Aren't you like that?
I don't really like it either, but I will stop because
I'm totally fine with it. Welcome to my world. What did you relearn about 1, 2, and maybe a portion of 3 that helped you with book 5?
It was mostly just seeing bits and pieces that were mentioned in book 5 that had like little what seemed like throwaway comments in books 1 and 2. It was good to read book 2 because get the first cut of Serena.
Yeah, Signet. Yeah.
So it's like, so that was good to see her again. But there's just a few other little things that I don't really know. But it was like, oh, that was a little comment that was mentioned somewhere in book 5. It's just like one little sentence, one little throwaway line that came back up, and you're like, oh, that's cool. Well, I don't think I would have picked that kind of stuff up if I had read it the first ones again first, but I have to remember what happened in the first half of book 5 again.
I did not do a reread. I was very tempted to. I was reading Blue Graffiti and other books in the interim instead. Those that did the re-listen, I believe that's Lisa, you got through some of them. KP Dubs, you did them. What did you rehash upon, and how beneficial was it going back to the start? Lisa.
It made me realize I completely forgot a lot of stuff that happened in book 4. Like, I'm glad I did it just for that, because I feel like as I was listening to it, I was like, when did this happen? Like, I couldn't remember any of it, so I'm glad I did. And
that's the Gates of the Feral Gods, and that actually starting off this book really goes into him having a gate and why that's such a treachery. Yes, Aaron?
Yeah.
So I had actually listened to book 5 like earlier in the year so far, so like it was mostly in my head, but it's like when this was coming up, it's like, okay, I'm gonna at least try to like listen like the last 2 or 3 chapters leading up to like 38 or something like that, and on 38 just like get my head back in the space, like where did they leave off on, so I don't go too far ahead in our discussions.
Yeah.
I even did that before I even with starting book 5, because it's like it was so long, so I listened like the last chapter in the epilogue of Feral Gods, just so I can like figure out where they were leaving off on before I get to the next book.
For me,
sorry, KP, I was like, I'm sorry, but like, and do you think 2-3 chapters was enough for you to revisit what happened in the first half of this book?
Yeah.
I don't know how you do that. I finished Blue Graffiti the day I was supposed to interview Cal, and we had to postpone it for what, like 7 days later or whatever it was. And I'd read 3 books in the interim, and I was like, couldn't tell you what happens in your book anymore. KP Dubs.
I've already read through book 6. So the main reason I wanted to redo everything is so I knew what not to say, not to spoil. Nothing really like surprised me or popped out as like, oh, I forgot that, except for little minor details like one-liners that were in there, but none of the plot points like surprised me in the other books. But just they're so fun. So when I got book 6, I reread all the previous ones. So I've now read books 1 through 5 3 times, and yeah, they're good.
KP Dubs, I feel like you are so like I have these proteges, right, where I love a series and I impart recommendation, and one of you will grab it and it will graft into your essence. Thierry, Dresden Files. We all know that. I recommended Dresden Files 4 years ago. You have read through the series at least 3 times. It is something that has changed and shaped your life, and it's like a badge of honor that I wear. KB Dubs, that's Dungeon Crawler Carl for you, for sure. I recommended this book series, and you were just like, you put on your shoes and you ran. You ran with this series. So it's been a lot of fun. Academic, you were saying, I've already reread them a couple of times. I also started my wife on the SBT, Sound Booth Theatre, dramatized version. And when that was over, listened to the rest of them when she asked what's next. Was that wonderful to have, like, because Katie, you're doing the same thing a little bit with your husband, but Academic, is that something that's lovely to share? Because I don't know what that feels like.
Sharing it is interesting because it's a different sort of like tone rather than from like, I guess, a book that I would normally share, but it grabbed her immediately and she was like, okay, what's next? And the Sound Booth Theater version is a little different from the books because there's so much extra universe, and the dramatized version that seems to add to the experience. That said, like she loved the books, and she normally has problems listening to books, like because she listens to them at night when we go to sleep, and she normally goes to sleep and re-listens to the same part over and over and over again. That did not happen with this book series. So that's another ringing endorsement, I feel like.
That is really cool. I like that a lot. Yeah, where it's like, I personally think that when it's presented in a way where you are experiencing the book, not just reading it, it's so much easier to absorb in that particular way. Keep it up saying so many callbacks in the series. I'm just getting through the chat. Sorry. I Snore 2 said, I enjoyed it enough that I joined the Dungeon Crawler Carl Patreon, and I'm reading the newest stuff as it comes out. It is true, if you're a Dungeon Crawler Carl fan, Matt Dinneman has a Patreon. I think he's published up to like chapter 70 and beyond. I have not read any yet. I kind of want to wait until it's come out. So why are you shaking your head, Lisa? Is there another moderator fight that's happening? Lisa,
No,
you're the best.
I'm just
Okay.
laughing at Ken because I think he was twitching in the chat there.
Pretty sure KP Dubs had a stroke.
I was trying to correct the typo and I did it wrong like 5 times in a row.
I say can't blame all on that.
Dude.
Hey, Ken, do you smell toast?
Dude.
I've had like 3 ounces of this beer, so I don't know what's going on.
Are you about to ask where is your car?
No, I know where it is.
Dude.
It's right out front.
Dude, where's your car? Dude. That's a lot of fun. Also, welcome to Moore's Book Club. If you give us a chance to roast you, we will absolutely take that opportunity with fervor. Toast Post says, yeah, I want to buy the dramatized versions. Also saying, I love these books because the world is built and then it's filled with more and more characters and stuff. But the later books are impenetrable for beginners. I love these books, so revisiting the older books is not a chore. Aaron says, I have reread 3 different series a few times, including Wheel of Time, Sword of Truth, and Stop Chatting, Cassette Frozen, and The Hollows. Cool. KPWs. Unlike Carl, I would never leave the apartment without proper shoes, keys, wallet, a phone, etc. Even if it's just to get the mail. No, I would be so done. Zelda, I forgot to take her out late last night. And so I got her barking at me. She'll do these like, I need to go to the bathroom in the next 5 seconds noises, which is like a bunch of, and she's like making these noises where it's like, now. And I'm like, okay. I was fast asleep. And when I told you I put 2 different shoes on and a random hoodie just to take her around the block, and she was so happy and I was a zombie, there was a chance that I had forgotten my key and the front lobby door would have been locked, and that would have been my life. I didn't bring my phone. Are you kidding me? Dog had to pee. I had to go. We have previously covered the first 4 books, and a lot of the conversation is, how fucked are you if this happens and you walk into a dungeon? We spent a lot of time giving me a goddamn existential crisis if Zelda comes down into the dungeon with me and she takes the pet treat that turns her into a crawler or makes her talk What would she say? Would she love me? Let's not revisit that ever again. Short answer, she would. She would. And we'll get into that because Donut's able to finally vocalize how she feels about Beatrice. And that was a heavy moment. So let's get stuck into a little bit of a replay. J Bunrock's in the house, just woke up, still a little sleepy and medicated. Welcome, J Bunrock. I hope you feel slightly better. Thank you so much for resubbing for 33 months. We're chatting Dungeon Crawler, Carl. It's a slow entry into this conversation. Academic says, I love how B's reveal is in the epilogue of book 4. Delivered as a character that will be critical and ends up being the most maliciously, nearly anticlimactic encounter. We will absolutely talk about that. The first time I read it, I fucking hated it. Let's talk about if it was effective or not. Game Wizard says, you would love Zelda, but she would have plenty to say. Ha 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 ha. Alrighty, Dungeon Crawler Carl, the Butchers Masquerade Part 1. Yes, go on.
I was going to say, it's like, she's basically going to be your version of Donut. It may not be like the princess, like, I want to be on stage kind of thing, but she's going to be sassy.
She's my daughter.
Exactly.
Yeah. She's got a tune, this one. She's very, very sweet sometimes. And
you're going to see too much of yourself in her. It's going to annoy you, but you're still going to love her because, of course, she's your child.
She'd be in the safe room with a bowl of food in front of her, just staring at you until you said, okay. And then she'd be like...
Oh, no. I think she'd be like, okay, see, now I can say it. That's what she would be like. She would also probably get morbidly obese because she could ask for more food. And I'd be like, babes, you are a long-bodied dog. If you get fat, that shit is going to graze across the ground. Do you really think you're going to last long in this dungeon?
What, she gets like the levitate spell?
Kate's in the house. She would. Kate's in the house. I read the whole book this time. Where did this section end so I won't spoil accidentally? We all know what to do. It is Kate's birthday today. We do a little special / horrible something with the Members Plus here if it's a Member Plus birthday. Academic, run, 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 run. I'll sing to you. Run. Oh, Lord, she got it. All right, it's going to sound atrocious, but it's coming from the heart. 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Kay. Happy birthday to you. She just said no.
Harmony needs work.
Phantom Aria says happy birthday. Brushkid says happy birthday. Chess Engine says happy birthday. Maiden says too late. Newsmaker says, look at all those pink names go. Maddie said I got roped into the call so they could do it to me. Ha! Lindsay says happy birthday. Hope you had the best day. Kate, get in the chat if you can. You asked a question though. You read the entire book. I'm not going to blame you for doing that. This is a very difficult book to stop. I accidentally read mostly into chapter 39 only because it happened so fast. And I was like, what? Where am I up to? Oh, my bad. Stop. Chapter 38 is where they have a conversation with the only other mantis in the dungeon that Vra could pass on the super fiery gonorrhea to. And it ended up that this particular character, the male named Edict, oh my gosh, yes, thank you. It is literally like the Dresden Terry where it's like I say something and you provide the answers. It makes my life easy. Darren said it would have been a lot harder if we'd stopped at 35. What happened at 35? What was that one?
That was the right before the fight with Lucia Mar.
Oh, wow.
It was just about to get warped back and we would have had to stop. I probably wouldn't have stopped.
Go down.
That was so, and it was so well done because you know it's all happening, but the POV is Carl and he's removed and he's helpless. It was so well done. Aaron, yes.
I don't remember if it was like 37 or 38, but Donut has like the funniest but also coldest line when Edict is like, trying to talk to them. I think it was like 37. And she basically says, like, I don't remember the names of corpses, Carl. Because she was like talking about like the other like elf who was also an accountant.
I don't remember corpses, Carl. Maybe you could take the hand out of your inventory so you can see who it was. She's becoming more cold as well, and we'll talk about the evolution of these characters. Miss Necromancer says, accountant bug. Correct. The male named Edict. He basically offs himself, and that's where it ends. We are learning about the lore of these aliens and just how different it is to human culture, which is fascinating because all of these alien species are learning about the human culture on Earth. And one thing that happens with the mantises is you basically need a written contract to procreate. Now, I found a glitch with this, which I mentioned in the fable. If I would like to draw everyone's attention back to Mongo getting boned, and Donut explicitly says, I know what the mantises do. Mongo's head's going to get ripped off. And then when this mantis, Edis, whatever his name is, Edict, talks about a mating ritual with a mantis, Donut goes, what happens? And I'm like, oh, you just said 14 chapters earlier what happens when mantises go for it. You know that the male's head gets ripped off. Mongo's a dude. You were worried about Mongo's head getting ripped off. You quoted the mating rituals of mantises. And when a mantis was telling you about it, you had no idea. Now, the other little part of my brain after reading this a few times, does Donut play dumb?
I mean, she did a lot in the early books, like she mentioned
Because
that she.
more and more we're figuring out absolutely, and she's literally a part of a coup, which we get one line to learn about and then have to abruptly move on. Record scratch. You were like, oh, but I've been helping basically secret agents infiltrate something, and you're like, Donut, what? So she is brilliant. We are learning. Viva la revolution, Carl. We are learning more and more about Donut. I want to say being a Paris Hilton, where it's like you've projected a brand where it is very much one thing, but it goes a lot deeper than what your understanding is. J. Bunt Rock says, I love all of Donut's random references from the 80s and 90s. Terry said exactly the same thing. She's like Paris Hilton, playing the dumb blonde for camera, but she's actually a brilliant person. Keep it up saying, yep, she is on that social media board making plans all of the time. What I also like about that is we are seeing the impact of what spending too long on a social forum is doing to her mental health. Oh my God, is that relatable? It was Donut all along. Clever Girl says Edict did go into some more gruesome detail. True. And Toast Poster says, God damn it, Donut. Love that. All right, so let's start at the beginning here. Attention, attention. The gates are down. The hunters are loose. Run, run, run. A lush jungle teeming with danger. Savage dinosaurs seeking blood. A fallen princess intent on vengeance. A mysterious end-of-floor celebration for the top crawlers dubbed the Butchers Masquerade. The 6th floor, the hunting grounds. As the remaining crawlers battle for their lives, a new terrible threat looms. Outside tourists are finally allowed to enter the game, and they are here and ready to hunt. Among them is Vra, a famed and veteran hunter intent on collecting the biggest trophies of her career. But their prey is far from harmless, and this season, they're fighting back. The epilogue of the 4th book is very important. We realize Beatrice is alive. She is still with Bahamas, dude. It was Bahamas? Bahamas? It was Bahamas, dude. She did not enter the dungeon. She's basically in a post-apocalyptic Earth above surface, intense, trying to survive. It's like one away from being the Walking Dead up there. what's so interesting is in the last 4 levels, bounty hunters are being commissioned to try and find key people in these crawlers' lives, because the highest bidder will pay to use that person in the dungeon. And Beatrice is one of the most sought after people because it's Carl's ex-girlfriend and Donut's technically mother, owner. It's like Maury, says Miss Necromancer. Look, you're not wrong. KP says, oh my God, those epilogues reveal so much. And K Frida says so much. It is very interesting to kind of get a dynamic of what's going on the surface, because we're just not privy to that ever. We are learning so much information at almost a breakneck pace, where it's like we're learning about Carl. We're learning about Carl's mind, Carl's childhood, Carl's trauma, why he is who he is. We're learning about Donut, what she's doing in the social media forums, what her plans are, her relationships with all these other people in the dungeon. We are learning more about the other crawlers, where Miriam Dom is at with Prepotente.
Say pony.
Pony. Where's my soundbite? Where's my soundbite? Where's my soundbite? With Pony. Thank you. That's what I was after. There it is. Some people who are in the Dungeon Crawler Carl Discord, we have access and are privy to some sound effects, and that is one that I will be calling upon from time to time. Aaron is showing me a cushion cover of Donut saying, God damn it, Donut. KP Dubs just says, I will kill your mother. I'll kill your mother. Sprinkle says, Carl, you are not the father. Aaron says, let's not forget Beatrice had a feral cat with her. KP Dub saying they want to kill the person and recycle them into the dungeon. It is highly illegal and yet commonly done. Kate says, Miriam, Pony, the Popoff brothers, Lucia. We are learning more and more about the other crawlers, their backstories, what they've been going through. And I don't know about you, but I find it all fascinating. These characters are so tangible. We are learning about the class that they're choosing, the impact and implications of what's happened in the last 5 floors for them. Miriam Dom's a fucking vampire. She's a vampire now. And we're still learning about this Italian middle-aged woman who came in with something like 32 goats, and now one of them is a hellspawn and the other is the equivalent of Donut, being a crawler in this dungeon now. Seeing their dynamic, the fact that Carl hates Prepotente. You're just like, shut up, Carl, stop picking a fight. But Prepotente just somehow provokes him completely. But then Prepotente's crying into Miriam's bosom, saying, he's so mean to me, mother. He's so mean to me. All of it so well done. Colleen says Lucia has more going on than we originally thought. Yes, the seeds have been planted. We're learning a little bit here and there. She's crazy and she's been getting more and more unhinged, but we're starting to learn about why. Mark8732, thank you so much for following 5 minutes ago. I appreciate that. Chess Engine, appreciate the follow. And Nomad, appreciate the follow also. And Kim the Ninja, sorry that took me a little bit to get to. I'm on a roll and I'm drinking wine. Ooh, is that a clip? Is that a slogan? So far, our other slogans is, it's a book club. We read books and panic. Welcome. Personally, one of my favorites. Keep It Up says Lucia is not alone, whether someone or something invisible is guiding her, or if she's just had a voice in her head. We don't know. Jay Buntrock says, really interested in where the Samantha storyline heads. Ha, you don't even know that's a pun. Unless you do. And I respect the shit out of you. I did before. No, KP Dubs. We don't need to share that quote. I don't know. What's that one? Oh, you also do the other quote. Oh my god, I killed someone and it felt amazing. Felt amazing. I am a god. They suck forever. Yeah. At least I said I'm a god. Ugh, you know. Messiah complex hasn't completely taken over. There it is. I do book clubs and I panic. Welcome. That's still one of my favorites. Okay. Oh, Christ, we are an hour and 10 minutes, so we're just going to charge through this. This book starts off with the implications of book 4 and how it ends. Carl has pocketed a feral gate. No, not a feral god, a gate. They weren't planning for this. This is highly destructive for the dungeon. And what's really interesting come book 5 is that we have an introduction of a lawyer. Now, it's so funny when every single day they could die. The odds are stacked against them constantly, and it doesn't usually happen until the later levels, but Carl is offered a lawyer. Now, what was really confusing and what I didn't like is they're the magic words you've just said. Like he said, I want a lawyer. And apparently that is falling into some sort of trap. Academic says, I love the lawyer scenes. Jeff Hayes with this New York kind of, you could just see he's on these like sticks, right? He's like, let me tell you, all right, this is what we gotta do, okay? My missus is out there. I'm gonna pleasure her later, but we gotta focus, and I need to get back to that, okay? It's so amazing. I absolutely love this dynamic. Quasar, exactly. Quasar is awesome. We better get a bunch more of him. Carl's biggest asset is having experienced people who have total understanding of not only the dungeon but previous seasons lend an expertise to help him. Mordecai, one of the questions that I asked is, why do you think Carl's so successful in the dungeon? I'm answering this question already. Mordecai, having a manager, having someone who has not only lived in the dungeon but continually seen every other season, learned the ins and outs. Thank you. Yes, exactly. The chat's all over it. And can say, here are your options. This is what they're trying to do. This is why it's good. Have you thought about this? Like, it is such a boon. Having someone guide you through this, literally holding your hand, one of the most important things. And I think it was it Ellie, who also chose something so that she could get a manager as well, because they realized what a boon that was to have. I think it was Ellie had that. Yeah. Manager, not as good quality. Mordecai has quite a reputation. There's a whole backstory with Odette that we're getting into as well, where you're like, holy shit, this goes way beyond this series. There's so much more that is out there. So that's a lot of fun. Game Wizard says also a PR lady who secretly helps you whilst also trying not to appear as helping. Yeah. What's her motivation? She's literally trying to disrupt the government that's in play at the moment. Her whole family was killed because she wouldn't wear a badge. So we have more and more people seeing Carl as a beacon of disruption, who is trying to literally disrupt what the crawl is all about. It's hurt so many people. Carl is the voice of reminder of, we're puppets in your game, but this is my life. And every single season, this happens. You've either had direct experience or indirect experience of this, but my job is to remind you, I am not entertainment. And so we see a bigger picture outside of the crawl and more allies coming in to help him. The other thing that is setting Carl apart in this, yes, is the fact that he has a cookbook. This was an artifact that was introduced. Was it in the second or third book? Is that book number 2, 3, 4, 3? 3. When you read them in one go, it all blurs together. This cookbook is an archive and journal of crawlers from previous seasons who are also imparting knowledge and everything that they learn about the dungeon in here. The only thing I can kind of connect this to from other pop culture is like, this is the Marauders map. It's a bit of a stretch, but this is a secret piece of paper, book, map, whatever it is, that previous people of the establishment have combined resources to make super beneficial that no one's supposed to know about, but when that user activates it or uses it or draws upon its information, absolutely helps. KPW goes, well, it's a game guide. It's just a game guide. Let it be the Marauders map. Hold on, Academic. What did you say? Terry said, going back through this chat. Oh, Davio, thank you so much for using your Prime to subscribe. And the Scuffpool, thank you so much for following. Welcome. We're talking about Dungeon Crawler Carl. We love the series around here. Can someone find the line where Quasar compares a lawyer with a condom? It's so funny. Okay. Academic says, didn't Carl get a condom? Yes, he did. Yes, he did. I feel like that was one of the throwaway lines that might become important later, says Academic. Kate says, I feel like we can't underestimate Carl himself, though. Those tools and people definitely help him because his plans are crazy and dangerous. But Carl thinks on the fly, and his cleverness and tenacity mean that he's the perfect person to have the cookbook and to have these people on his side. Because any other crawler could have these tools and they still would have failed. Kate's in here. Hi, Kate. Happy birthday. How's your birthday been? How are you?
Quiet. I mean, I haven't done much.
That all changes now. 1, 2, 3. Have it.
You already did this.
You read the whole book, huh?
Yeah, I did.
How come you couldn't stop?
I didn't know how much time I would kind of have, and I've been in kind of a reading slump, so where I was like going, I'm like, I'm just going to keep going.
Oh, because you actually felt like reading more.
Yeah.
So Dungeon Crawler Carl is a cure to reading slumps.
Yeah, I guess it is.
You heard it here first. Thank you so much. Couldn't have done it without you. You are entirely right about Carl. I think we are learning more and more about why each of the, like, Donut and Carl are so much more than meets the eye. Am I hearing from you, though, Kate, that you're a Carl fan? That you like Carl?
I guess he was actually my favorite character, like, sneakily. And I kind of maybe just realized it because, like, he's so... like, he's almost like a straight man in a comedy, you know what I mean? Where all the other people around the straight man are, like, wacky characters, right?
Mm-hmm,
but without the straight man, everything falls apart. So I feel like Carl isn't flashy like a lot of the other, like, Donut or, you know, Lucia or a lot of these, like, other people. He's just, like, he looks like a dude and he's, like, wearing funny boxer shorts and no shoes. Yeah. But... he will, like, the whole thing, you will not break me. And it's just, they don't know what to do with him. And like I said, too, it's like his craziness, like in his unpredictability and his chaos is affecting the AI too, where it's causing the AI, because the AI learns from them, right? Mm-hmm. And that is just, the game designers do not know how to counter it. And we can kind of see where it's just like in this book, there's all kinds of just like, oh my God, what now? There's like 10 different things that I have to deal with. And that's like, I think just them trying to heap stuff to break Carl, but it's just, they haven't learned yet that he is one of those people who is unbreakable.
There are moments where it has come close, and he has been incredibly human
very
in
much
some
so.
of these moments. Yeah. And he has a capacity. He ain't
Since I
Teflon.
did read the second part is just, there is a big part in the second part that's like, where it's just the humanity of it, where, you know, just putting Carl in these terrible situations for, you know, views.
The sake of entertainment. Yeah. And I feel like the same thing was happening with Beatrice as well. Like, she was inserted to have a reaction and a rise, and Donut wouldn't rise to it, even though she has such a good grasp on what is entertaining and is working it and actually manipulating it for popularity and understanding that the more views you have, The Longer You'll Last. Carl is doing this with his lawyer. You know what? Vengeance of the Daughter. I want a second season. I want a third season. I want to continue this for 3 more levels. Make it so that I am indispensable. And I think that's really important. Vaden, you got your hand up. What is he?
Oh, just on the point of Carl being unbreakable, he is very, very tough, and he is very mentally resilient. But as we see in this book, in the first half especially, at least he has a river in his mind now. It's bubbling very strongly. It seems like something is happening to him that it's making him more chaotic, more reckless, seems like. So I'm not sure if he's finally breaking that dam or something else going on.
I want to absolutely get into that, but before I do, Keep It Ups, I want to read out your comment because I don't want it to get too far down. End of book 4, we find out that the Anarchist Cookbook 2nd edition author, Crawler Porthos, is the CEO of one of Carl's sponsors. So epilogues are jam-packed full of very interesting things, mostly what's happening outside of the dungeon and how that's impacting a bigger picture. But that is an important thing that doesn't get revisited really, but it's good to put out there. Yes, academic.
One of the epilogues, I can't remember which it was, but it was one of the advertisements for Sound Booth Theater, was when we're also introduced to the idea of crawler camp, and which is what we're finding out is the Mantis's cash cow, which is really interesting. So there's a lot of information in that stuff.
Crawler camp is a way for almost like young kids to experience what it's like being in the dungeon, but there is a very much sense of you don't get hurt. And I think that this is what this season is exploring in a big way. Usually there is a lot of bias. There is a lot of favoritism and advantages for those paying to enter this hunter experience. I feel like it's kind of leaning into a very human thing where it's if you have a fuck ton of money and you want to kill an endangered species, hey, there's a place for that. If you've got the money, we can make it happen. You want to feel like a big man. Long story short, don't fucking do that. Don't kill an endangered species just to say you could. It doesn't make you powerful or exciting or like a human in my eyes. I always, okay, fine, I swore, whatever. But
one of the hunters even says, we're actual people, right? Like, to emphasize your point.
We weren't supposed to get hurt. Yeah, they were primed for killing. That's exactly what this is playing into. And it's another level of not only are you entertainment and your suffering is so that we can enjoy watching what's happening. It even goes further than that, as to say, look, you are so not a person, we can pay money to execute you for entertainment. So it really takes it to the next level. And this is what fuels Carl. This is something that he simply refuses to get on board with. Donut is a lot more open to, well, let me get them, like, allow me to get them to love me. Because if they love me, then they'll want me to live. Whereas Carl is like, not only am I going to hate what this is, I'm going to try to destroy it from the core. So if I blow up all of what this is, pun intended, explosives expert, then we can rebuild from it. But the way that it currently is standing is not okay, and I'm going to make sure that this never happens again. Zeklaw, no, why would you do that to me? Zeklaw, WGD, what is your name? Why? Why is that your name? Thank you so much for using your Prime to sub. I appreciate it. What's your name about? Help me understand it. Clever Girl says Carl is becoming more primal. Yes, this is the class that he has, the race, that he has decided to go with. He is a primal. Now, he looks the same, but what does it mean to be a primal? He also gets to choose more and more what his class becomes. I have it in my notes. I took extensive notes for what happens in here. He chooses, his options were revolutionary, guerrilla, or agent provocateur. Now, the revolutionary was a frontline rioter. It had strength, unarmed combat, and you can blend into the crowd and be a little bit more stealthy. The guerrilla is perfect for your jungles, trap making, ranged weapons. You have more dexterity. You can camouflage. You've got crossbows, traps, and you have the trap maker workshop. The agent provocateur means that you are invisible with mass casualty bombs and bomb making. Your intelligence goes up, which is, I think, something that he's trying to buff a lot more in this level, because he's recognizing that his intelligence and even constitution, is a little bit low for what it needs to be, because his strength hit triple digits. This guy is so whoa. But it's all about this sapper's table. Now, this sapper's means that you have an advanced bomb maker's workshop. It is a whole dang room to make these bombs, and he's already throwing them like they're candy. That's surely got to backfire. You look at what's like not friendly fire, throwing a bomb. But he's trying to cause mass destruction, so there you go. So yes, he chooses agent provocateur, which is against Mordecai's wishes, which is what we're seeing a little bit more and more of. Mordecai going, I think you should do this, and Carl being like, nah, because I've got another resource. And this other source of information is contradicting what you're saying. You're playing it safe. I don't play safe. And as we see immediately when he starts off, he doesn't even tell Donut the plan. He teleports them into a high impact area where there's a lot of hunters to cause the most damage possible. How did everyone feel when he took a risk this big, this early on? Were you thinking that Carl is becoming reckless? Go, Aaron.
Yes, but within reason. Like, I feel like he's using his recklessness to serve his interests. Like, he does it with a plan. Like, it's not like recklessness idiotically. Like, he's just not throwing caution to the wind.
It's educated recklessness, yes.
Well, he's making very, very bold, aggressive moves is what it really is in my mind. It's not really like reckless, like, oh, he's just like, throwing caution to the wind. It's like he has plans. It's just his plans often end up putting him in immediate danger with big payoffs, but big consequences.
True. Arablog 10, thank you so much for the follow. Welcome to Maude's Book Club. We're chatting Dungeon Crawler Carl, Book 5, The Butchers Masquerade, talking about chapters 1 to 38. Terry saying, Carl taking the brakes off, hell yes, was my reaction. Zeklor, you used your Prime, now you're following. Welcome. Tell me what your name's about.
He also knows that the hunters are getting outside help, so he knows he has to, like, stop them before they can gain any kind of advantage. So
that's actually a great question.
Plan number 1 has to be, before anything else, has to be like stop them from, getting footholds, because he knows that they have like people giving them not only like tips,
feeding
but, like,
information,
weapons, and like all kinds of stuff, right?
Yeah, they're in this quadrant at this time. They are heading in this direction. Are you kidding? Yeah, that's so unfair. Keep It Up says footholds. Nice pun. How nice are the foot in the foothold, would you say, Kate? If you could describe it, 1 to 10.
What'd you say? Sorry, you cut off a little bit.
Well, you used the word foothold, and KP Dub says footholds. Nice pun. And I was just wondering if you could describe the kind of feet in these footholds.
Supple, dexterous, crude nails.
The AI likes it. Also, Donut recognizing, hey, the AI has absolutely fixated on something about you. Do what you got to do. Now, I can relate to Carl where it's like, no, I don't want to do that. That makes me feel gross. Like I am being fetishized against my will. I don't like that. So I kind of get it. And Donut's like, well, do you want to survive? And you're like, far out. Susie says, I'm sorry, I lost count. How many hunters did Carl and Donut kill? Over 50 in that first explosion, I believe. It was over 50 out the gate. 35, says Jeff. Thank you, Jeff. 30. Oh yeah, KP Dubs was doing that. That was good. That's good. Is that a sport thing? Is that what they do in sport? I thought that's I Love You. Oh, sweet. That's a sports thing.
Like how many hunters were like put into the level? Like I know it was a lot, but it was like obviously
We had a record number of hunters enrolling.
Just
this
over 1,000,
season.
I think, was the number they gave, but there may have still been more coming in. But it was over 1,000.
Okay. Some of them were the accountants who were just there to sell the merchandise.
Yeah. Also, just if we're looking at numbers, the hunters usually started at level 30. For this season, they start at level 50. Already unfair. 2,344 exits exist on this level. There was repercussions and reprimanding about flooding Larocco's Island, already on level 9. We're not going to see that for 3 books, but that's cool to learn about. The NPCs start giving hints about previous seasons. So the NPCs are becoming more informed. Now, this is another side story. We're getting a lot of side stories at the moment. Who is running the corporation? Who's in charge? There's a disruption in that as well. The hunters getting boons. Vra and the Mantis whole sub-story as well. Oh, by the way, we just need to say that Mordecai changes. He's a shapeshifter. He's a changeling-ish. He changes every single season. Now, listening to Mordecai over the seasons, when he was the frog that sucked, I didn't like that. He is now the cutest little pocket Kuma. Do we have a picture of that in the show chat? I want to see what this pocket Kuma looks like, because apparently it is the cutest. I'm picturing like a sugar glider with big eyes. A Monchichi. Like super, super cute. And Carl is hysterical and giggles listening to all of this. We have the legal side of what's going on in the dungeon, kind of as a sub-story as well. We have the sponsors. Agatha, it was her all along in here as well. There's a lot of things that are going on, which I guess my question that I have for that is all of this introduced information, including what the follow through of the dungeon is. So there's the Ursine bears that they've taken over that particular establishment. They've got problems with dinosaurs. There's a big dinosaur that's trudging around. There's also the Vengeance of the Daughter storyline, where they have to take over her sister's kingdom and reign with all of that. And there's also the Butchers Masquerade that's happening at the end here. So what's going on there? They've got some inside scoop of what that could be. Is there too much happening, or are you kind of following along and excited as all of these new ventures pop up? K. Frudo says so many storylines.
I think there's a lot going on for sure, but they kind of end things with seeing the storyline for the most part. Seems like, and then now they're focusing on. I guess it seems like they were hinting at something to do with the dinosaurs. Someone named Big Tina, who's apparently someone of the dinosaurs that they have to deal with now to stop whatever's happening to lizards. So it's not. I think they did a good job pacing. I think, even though there's a lot.
There's a lot happening. Is there too much? Does anyone find that it's just a bit too much? Lisa says no. Jimmy says no. Academic. Yeah, go on. You're thinking about it.
I don't feel like it's too much, but I do think that it gives the feeling to us as the reader as to like what Carl is feeling like, because even at the beginning of the book, he's like, I thought Katya was mad at me, but it seemed out that she was working too this whole time. And so all of the crawlers that are like in this, they're all facing all of these deadlines, all of these crunch times. And now we're like, okay, we're adding one more thing onto the plate. I hate this. I hate my boss. Why do you do this to me? All these real things our feelings are coming out. So yeah, I think Matt Ditman's doing a good job conveying the sensation that Carl is feeling.
Okay. Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. KB Dub's saying, no, it's a typical game. You have a goal, but you always end up with 27 side quests. And I do feel like initially the way that they level up choosing the different classes, unlocking different items, understanding what all of these items do, what kind of spells they're privy to. How do you keep track of all of it? And I did ask Matt Dinneman that when we were covering books 1 and 2, where it's like, what is your spreadsheet looking like? And he does have to revisit, being like, oh, that's right, we've got this constitution thing, or this is really important now. I love the fan art because it does remind, as you can see here, he's still in his boxer shorts, he's still got no shoes on, but this gaiter, this face mask that he's wearing is super important. The leather jacket's important. He's getting more and more tattoos. He's getting patches on his jacket. The accessories that come with that as well. And they're all quite important, but I love how he puts a focus on a few of these things. Some of them are throwaways. Oh, you've got a +5 constitution donut on a little bracelet. That kind of had a bit of a backstory in book 3 or book 2, but you know, whatever. Then there's something like the Ring of Divine Suffering. And this has played a pretty major part from the first book, because this is what Frank and Maggie Mai had been sort of gifted, I suppose, and what they had gotten their daughter to wear to try and level up fast. Carl was marked in the first book. The Ring of Divine Suffering is incredibly powerful and it has massive side effects. So with, you know, I feel like there's a balance here. If something's too overpowered or too good, it comes with a consequence. The Ring of Divine Suffering means that you can pop it on, you can mark a character or a crawler, an entity. If they're living and full health, you can mark them. From there, once you have killed, once you've marked them, you cannot heal. So there is a massive disadvantage for marking a character. You cannot heal until that character that you have marked is dead. Once you've killed them, their highest stat point, whether it's intelligence, dexterity, charisma, whatever it is, their highest stat point, you gain that. So it is an incredibly fast way to level up and to increase your stat points in this dungeon. Mordecai said, do not put that ring on. We got that loud and clear over the books. This is not good news. This will only end in suffering. It's called the Ring of Divine Suffering. Carl, a survivalist, says, yeah, but it can really help me and I need help. He has marked hunters. He's marked quite a few people and he is leveling up quite a lot. What else is the Ring of Divine Suffering doing to him? Now, a big discourse happening in the fable about this book is the introduction of Carl expressing and talking about this river that is raging inside of his head. It was a quiet stream initially. Now, I thought it was only when he had gotten and received the Ring of Divine Suffering and used it for the first time that this started. But that's not the case. When you listen to how he was describing it, he says, I've realized that the river was always there. It has just become more pronounced. Now that I've been in the dungeon this long, now that I've been wearing the Ring of Divine Suffering, I think he's becoming more chaotic. I think he's becoming more reckless now that he has this Ring of Divine Suffering. But the conversation we had in Fable was, what is the river? And this is what I love about a game lit RPG book about booms and bombs and leveling up and, oh my gosh, choose your class. We are having a real conversation about trauma and about a grown-ass man who has never really conversed about his feelings, who was kind of being manipulated and used by his ex-girlfriend, but he sort of went along with it because he didn't want to ruffle feathers. But this river is what I believe a metaphor for sort of an untapped trauma. I would love to hear and open up this conversation about theories that you have and what this is. Jeff, you've got an idea of what you think this river could be and what it's connected to and why it exists. Would you like to share it? You got to unmute.
There we go. I have to be a little bit careful because I think some of this is from further along.
Did you read ahead? Did you, Jeff?
I've read into the Dungeon Crawler Carl Patreon book 7 stuff, so I'm.
Did you read book 6?
Far.
Did you read book 6?
I did read book 6.
Oh, you've sprinted. I created the beast.
I'm in.
I will unleash. I'm happy. Roam the pastures.
But there's like early in book 5, there's a quote, "That feeling, that ceaseless river within my mind roared, the water is running, something within me broke, a decision was made. I thought of my mother holding my hand as we stood at the edge of the Grand Canyon." So I think you're right that it's all about past trauma, but it seems that it's also tied to something with his mom.
So that's safe to say it's childhood trauma from parents. We've kind of heard him hint towards the relationship he had with his dad, which was not great. But now he's bringing mum into it as well. So we're kind of like peeling back layers of this particular trauma onion. The chat is saying he has so much former trauma. Former trauma. Wait, can an American say that for me so I know what it actually sounds like? Because it's not a rhyme.
Trauma.
No, former trauma.
Former
trauma.
Yeah, they're
There's
very
no
different
A
words for you.
Armor.
No, it rhymes for me. Former trauma. Former trauma. Trauma. Former trauma. Yes, KP Dubs, he does have a lot of former trauma. Before he ever got to the dungeon, the river is now overflowing the banks. Sprinkle says, being in difficult situations can bring the best or worst out of someone. His river is his psyche. Toaster Poster says, I'm still wondering how a person's wisdom stats are affected. They took the measurement of wisdom out of the game, but I still think items affect wisdom. Give me some examples. Clever Girl says, the dungeon is exposing the trauma that he's experienced. Jay Buntrock says, rural juror. What are you doing to me? What are you doing to me? Can someone say rural juror for me, please?
One of the things Americans can't say.
Oh, is it
Americans have
Americans can't
lots
say
of-
that?
Not
Do
rural.
it.
There's lots of different things for rural. Yeah, no, we don't
Say
do
it.
that word.
That was a whole bit from the TV show 30 Rock that nobody could say rural juror.
Oh, that's
You
an
just did.
American tongue tie. Rural juror. I am superior in this 5 seconds. Rural juror. Colleen, spoiler. Pretty sure that's a spoiler. I don't think we've got
What's
what
a
you wrote.
spoiler?
You're wondering a particular thing. I don't think that's been mentioned yet.
I think it's implied enough.
You
Implied
do?
enough.
Okay.
Yeah, for multiple books now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Great. Let's talk about it. I didn't want to be the Red Ahead Club.
Yeah, he mentions his mother is going to give him a birthday present, and they get into that and those things. I don't remember the exact lines or details, but that's the impression I got was that's what happened.
Good. Okay. I didn't know how much because, yes, we do go into it on the next book. I also don't know what's the spoiler and what's not, so I will concede to the chat. I don't think it's a spoiler. This is Darren. Got it. It is implied that Carl's mum sues. Do you think if I abbreviate saying it, it's less impactful? Is it more gentle? It's a very delicate topic. I don't want to say it all. Okay, Frito. Nope. Okay, cool. I want to be delicate around this conversation. Trigger warning around suicide and suicide ideation. Thank you, True Scorn.
Also implied domestic abuse, which is what led to the whole thing.
Carl's gone through some shit. His family life wasn't cozy. He has seen things. He has experienced things. And yes, his mother self-ends, to use True Scorn's suggestion. So yeah, there's a lot happening here. So I think Maude had drank a superior health potion tonight. Oh, Vaden, you are phonetically saying how I say former trauma. There's an A in there. Why is there an A in former?
That just sounds like fama to me.
Really? Former.
Sometimes.
Lisa says, I'm pretty sure they said in the earlier books that her birthday present was that she was going to off his dad and herself, but only one stuck or something like that. Correct. Thank you, Wicked Maddie, for reading the room. If you or someone that you know is in crisis, please call 911 or go to the nearest emergency room, or you can call 1-800-273-TALK to 8255 to reach a 24-hour crisis center. Responsible. Carl's gone through some shit. That is something that I believe Carl is the kind of person who would bury it. Carl being a straight white guy who worked in sort of boat repairs, so to speak, in the coastal, Coast Guard. He has not sort of been given a good father role model in his life, or B, a good way to express his emotions. And I feel like he buries and buries. His mantra is, you will not break me. So I don't think he even gives himself permission to slightly crack. And he was in the military. Yeah. So this is a guy who just has learned to deal with shit and to move on. I feel like he is finding too much to tolerate more and more in these particular books. I do feel like some people are more equipped to deal with stardom, to deal with manipulation, to deal with being put on a podium for entertainment. I have had many a thought about the most successful people on social media and in fame are narcissists, because they truly believe that they deserve fame. They love validation from strangers, so they love to share themselves publicly because the public will then lift them up and worship them, which makes them feel superior. So more often than not, the most successful social media person you know who overshares and loves attention is a goddamn narcissist. And I wish more people would realize that. It's those that don't like social media that are the decent people, and people who should be famous, who have the most to say and the most positive impact to make, don't want fame. Oh, I think I needed to say that for a while. I was really holding that in. I was carling that up. I feel a little bit better saying it. Is Donut a narcissist? Yes or no? Academic, you look like you're going to say something, but Aaron, your hand is up. Okay, Aaron.
She's a cat. All cats are narcissists.
I didn't expect that coming from you. I thought you loved cats.
I do, and that's why cat lovers love cats. It's not like with dogs.
They make you earn.
This is important. This is important. I think we're getting through a breakthrough now. Cat lovers are narcissists. Dog lovers are decent. Can we just...
No, that's not what she said. She said...
No, that's what I heard.
That's not what she said. That's not what
Absolutely
she said at
heard
all.
that.
No, she said the cats themselves are narcissists, not the
Cats
lovers.
themselves, the animals are
Got it.
narcissists.
Yeah,
Got it.
cat
Cats.
lovers have to be incredibly tolerant.
Oh my
and
gosh,
just
new one.
expect to get...
Cats teach patience because their love is not... you have to earn a cat's love. It's not unconditional.
Got it.
Never had that
Cat
experience.
lovers
Every cat
are
I've ever met has loved
codependents.
me.
Cats
Hear
are
me out.
not insecure and scared of everything like dogs are.
Cat lovers are codependents. Prove me wrong. I'll wait.
I'm not going to tell
That's
you.
a harder. That's a harder.
Aren't you talking about dog lovers where a dog can't exist without you or it will die?
The dog can be codependent, but the dog owner is not. Cat owners and cat
Necessarily.
lovers are codependent because they have to earn love. Prove me wrong. We're getting into territory that
one of
I
the
feel
reasons-
icky. But I'm not
So you think
stopping.
everyone just owes you love because you're a social media celebrity?
No.
Ooh,
No.
Oh no, we're doing this.
Yeah. Let's go. No, I don't feel like anyone owes me anything. I do not want to feel like I deserve anything. I also feel like a lot of my life is so precious, and when people want to know about it, I don't want to share it. And that's where it comes unstuck for me. I also don't know that my day-to-day is interesting enough. There are some times where I have observed, and being a daughter of a psychologist, I feel that I can challenge thought. But that thought is to be a better person and to love yourself and to not be a cat lover. I mean, is it that hard? Get a dog.
One of the things I like about cats, and the reason that I really liked reptiles, is because they were independent and in a lot of ways less demanding, especially when I had a bunch of really demanding family members. It was
well said.
Nice
I
to
like
have.
this take. Yeah.
So yeah,
Stop
my
screaming your
snakes
needs at me. Yeah.
yes.
I shared in the show beforehand that Zelda woke me up, yapping, saying, now, I need to use the bathroom this second. You must arise, human. You must wake up and take me out so I can relieve myself. And I understand that it is this early. And like a zombie, I got up and I did thy bidding. So I get that. Game Wizard, what traumatic experience did you have with cats, Maude, to make you not like them? There are a couple of things that are learned behavior. My mum's allergic to cats. Cats are bad. Don't have cats in the house. Don't have cats around the house. Do not go to a friend's house who has a cat and then bring that cat home with you on your clothing. Cats are bad. Also, I have no basis of this. I have not looked into it. Woody Allen is bad. That's all I was told. That's all I know. We do not watch Woody Allen movies. Woody Allen is not a good person. We do not like Woody Allen in this household. I blindly accept that. Absolutely. Can we separate the artist from the guy who married his stepdaughter? I say no. Okay. Your cat's really cute, Maddie. That's a cute cat. That is a borderline werewolf cat. That is the biggest goddamn cat I have seen. And you are holding it out like this. That's a
Real
massive
quick, though,
cat.
are you basically saying that because of a Pavlovian experience with like your mom is allergic to cats, therefore
Yep.
if she's around
Cats are
them, she
bad.
becomes ill, ergo
Cats are bad.
pets are bad. Not
Yep.
actually associating the fact that cats are really bad just because you associate them with illness, therefore illness bad, therefore cats bad.
Cats can hurt a person I love.
And
Cats are bad.
dogs.
Yeah. Oh
You
my God,
did
if my
just
mom was allergic
compare
to
cats.
dogs, I would have 3 cats. Like, I understand that. I absolutely get that.
It's kind of funny though that you did just compare cats to a sexual predator.
I'm glad we can call him that. We don't watch Woody Allen. He is bad.
Cats are good.
There's just
Cats are. I mean, if you're not allergic to them, cats are good.
yeah, that's not my world or my experience.
That's fair.
Sometimes you are taught something from a young age and it is fact. Cats are bad. We don't watch Woody Allen.
I also had a dog for about 18 years.
And it was the best time of your life. Thank you for sharing.
It was after my kids were mostly gone.
So it was the
she
less difficult
was
child.
like- yes.
I have dogs, so I don't have to have a kid.
Well, my
Do you
dog
have a
never
kid?
punched
It's
holes
called
in the
Zelda.
walls.
Lisa's allergic to cats. Oh, you want to cuddle with a floofy cat so bad. Academic says you can have both. Scientifically, like, not really. I can rescue a dog. I'm a single
and
mom
Kiwi
with
are
a-
appalled.
I only turned my camera on to show my cat, says Maddie. I love that. Welcome to Maude's new podcast. Cats are bad. Cats are fine. I have been told no cats. So my whole head's cats are great. Okay.
Are you saying that Donut is bad because she is a cat?
Well, she's no longer. She's a crawler. I don't think she defines what it means to be a cat anymore.
She chose cat as her species, though.
Yep. She's
Donut would be appalled that you would call her not a cat. I can't believe you would do that.
Jeff's on Team Maude. Yeah.
Mongo
I'm
and
really
Kiwi
looking-
are appalled.
Okay, okay. We're getting off track. Gosh, there's so
I
many
did have
things
a point to make about, because we were talking about Carl and his whole psyche and all that stuff before we went off the cat tangent. I wanted to kind of say that because like Carl has been like, in this, how long has he even been in like the whole crawl so far? It's like been like at least 3 or 4 months, give or take, right?
How long does the level go for? I think
Some of
no,
them,
they
like,
used to be quite long.
weeks, like some were like a few, like 4 or 5 weeks or something like that, and then like it shortened down, down, and down. But he
I think
hasn't
they've
like
got
actually
20.
had a
Do they
real.
have 20 days in this level? 20, 21 days or so?
But
Yes, Darren, you're
because
right.
of like all of this, it's like he has been like just in fight or flight mode like since word go. It's like he hasn't really had a chance to like unpack all the trauma he's experiencing here, plus also remembering all of his past traumas, and he's also had a shorter sleep cycle because of the new bed. It's like you can get a full night's rest like in a few hours. You don't have enough time to like actually like just use the real sleep cycle to decompress all your thoughts.
Thank you. That's exactly what I was about to say. He doesn't even get to like sleep anymore and just have a moment. A moment to decompress has been taken away from him, and is
Constantly
artificial
planning,
now.
acting, and recycling those motions. Just trying not to die.
That was actually a really raw, beautiful moment where he's like, "Oh, I've got a machine where in 2 minutes, I can get back out there and feel fully recovered and rested." I hate this, and I think it was so important to hear because Lucia Mar would shortcut every little thing to try and level up and to get the most time to, what is it? Grind. That's what that is. Grind to try and survive as much as possible. But I feel like Carl is noticing these things that are sacred and they're being taken away from him as well. And the thing is, it's like you can't even have anything that's yours when you're in the dungeon. You are not yours. Like, yeah, I think it's doing a really good job of that. KP Up says, yes, that does that rest actually translate to mental rest? Physical, sure, but exactly. Thalatash is in the chat. First time chatter. Hello, welcome. Saying, I always wonder which of my cats I would want in the crawl with me while I'm reading DCC. The first time we spoke about Dungeon Crawler Carl, we had this exact conversation. I have a dog right there, Zelda. And it turned into quite an existential spiral of what Zelda would be like if she were given a voice. She was able to express herself completely to me. Would it be a good thing? I don't want to spend too much time on that. Snore says my favorite dog to dog sit for lives with cats. So I almost don't do it every time they ask. Fuck cats. Learned behavior. All right, what else are we going to talk about? Yes, this the river in the back of his mind. It's a distant sound. It was rising in volume. He only notices it when he's really calm. He now no longer has the luxury of being really calm. Yes, he's been in fight or flight mode this entire time. The hunter's boxes have the victim's hand/claw in them. We've introduced the hunters on this level. They are people who have bought their way in. A lot of their lives, they have done hunter camps, and this is a really fun, cool experience because chances are they get to kill crawlers and not be killed. Not the case when you're in the same crawl as Carl. He has opened up a plethora of different boxes with a numerical dollar amount increasing every single kill. It has also got their hand in it. Gross. The more hands/claws you collect, the more of a likelihood you are entering the Butchers Masquerade. Who has not read ahead? What do you think the Butchers Masquerade is? So far, it is an event at the end. It sounds like a masquerade almost ball where the highest crawlers are deemed to go into. There has been some external knowledge that has been leaking about the fact that it is a setup. Is it sitting in the back of your mind this entire time, or are other things present more so in the first half of the book?
I would think, this is just my train of thought. I'm not saying this is where it's going, but when you say masquerade, I think about the character in Walking Dead who was collecting the ears, and I just thinking them when it's fine, it's irrelevant, but you're wearing them and you're basically displaying to people like, hey, this is my accomplishments, basically like
Well,
saying
Bra's
like
doing it with
messaging.
heads on her carapace.
Exactly. So it's basically like a calling card, or if you want to go historical, like Vlad the Impaler, like that's a thing. It's just basically
If you want to
being
keep
like,
it into the book, Lucia
because
Mar's
he's number
doing it.
one. Carl is number one right now, and
Yes.
so that's why it makes sense that he would be like, if you come for me, you're gonna get the horns. You know what I mean? That's
Dude,
my logic. That's what I think
I
it
get
is.
that.
It's basically like a cattle call of who's the best ones. But if it's a charade instead of a masquerade, that's completely different. So,
KB Dubs?
At this point, we don't know what the masquerade is all about, but we do know that all the hunters are going to be invited, and then the top 50 crawlers who can each take a +1. So if we know that there was like 1,000 plus hunters at the beginning, you got 50 to 100 crawlers in a building with 1,000 hunters, and we don't know if they're going to be safe or not. I think we all know enough about this game that something's going to happen. So killing as many hunters before the masquerade as possible seems like the best bet.
Also, there has been an ownership takeover of the crawl. Valnet has basically, this is where I get a little confused. Valte. What's Valnet? I think that's an actual company in LA who owns a lot of websites. Valte has taken over from the Borrent Corporation, and it says that it's not going to change anything at all, but it sounds like a little housekeeping is going to happen where the Valte are kind of going to clean shop a little bit. They would have done things very differently had they started this particular crawl. They are very big fans of sci-fi, pow-pow, robots and stuff. But this is a more fantasy scape. Skynet. Yeah, there you go. Skynet took over Borat. Thank you. Yeah, okay, using that logic. They essentially want to wipe the slate clean and then take a little bit more of a creative control over what happens. Best way to do that, wipe out the top 50. Butchers Masquerade. Sounds like that's what they're trying to do. This is inside information that they're now privy to. Odette has a lot of information. She has sponsored Carl and Donut, correct? So she has an invested interest. The fact that they're going on her show and that she has B, I think is a huge conflict of interest. Aaron, you are vehemently shaking your head with this one.
So is Ken.
What's going on, Ken? You are like, no.
That isn't sponsoring anyone, but she is giving insider information.
So she's not sponsoring, but she's. I thought she had
Carl
like an
got
invested.
sponsored by that nonprofit.
Yeah, it was the Plenty, the non-profit organization, and
the apothecary.
The Valte.
Oh,
yeah,
the
the Plenty is the apothecary.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. So right now, remember Carl lost the Valte sponsorship because of the takeover.
Got it. Odette has an invested interest happening here. Odette has claimed she was able to retrieve Beatrice in a bid to keep Carl and Donut in the dungeon without that hanging over their head and causing them to lose the game in this particular instance, and that Odette and Mordecai have history as well. It's so convoluted, so much happening, so many people trying to loophole information and aid to Carl and to Donut, not knowing what their reason behind it is, but knowing that sort of Carl's stance is benefiting their interest. Yes, Aaron?
They're also obviously feeding information to the hunters as well. So it's like somebody's probably playing both sides, like just hedging their bets.
It's all bullshit. Which is for sure. So Carl has taken over this establishment. Basically, Donut pushes the assigned mayor off the hill. He absolutely is dead really quite quickly. She's now the mayor. We learned that the dinosaurs are the issue. Mongo meets up with finally more of his species, and David Attenborough has a field day about a mating ritual. Kiwi. Thought it was a showdown. Carl was getting a little bit nervous about the whole thing. No need. Mongo's got a girlfriend. Who saw this coming? Donut hates it. Hates it. I mean, it's her child. I will say Zelda used to live with another boy dog, and one time he would thrust into her face, and everyone thought it was so funny, and I was livid. That is my daughter. And it's not even the writing. Thank you. I was so very, very upset, so I understand. Let's talk about some of my questions that I have in here. I think the big one I want to ask, now that we've got 10 minutes, sorry. Now that we're in book 5, what are the other overarching themes that we are getting? And what is the most appealing to you? Academic.
So, when Donut, right before Donut pushes the Ursine mare down the hill, we get a description read off by the AI, and there's like a quick little blurb in there that I wrote down.
Yes.
And it says something about there's something like the erased text from the air was a description. It's just like those new shining AIs with their replacement net. So the AI seems to be developing more of an opinion about the world around it, which is really interesting. And then Matt draws attention to it by saying the text was gone by the time he looked back at the mirror. So like he compared
no, by the time he tried to put it in a
down.
scratch pad. So he copied the text and it was deleted. But yes, the AI is getting sassy and opinionated and is saying shit because they don't want to hold it in or play by the rules, and they're letting shit slip. Absolutely.
And trying to hide it, which is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like me. Note. In the book, the physical book, that section is in italics. The rest of the writing is not.
Oh, interesting.
So then that part does not go to the scratch pad. That happened one other time in a previous book too. There's something in italics.
No. KBW says like the AI is jealous of new AIs and is feeling insecure. The AI has definitely demonstrated a lot of particular things, favoritism towards Carl's feet. And I guess Carl, because he's attached to them.
And I think I don't know if it was the corporate people or something like that or somebody else, but like the Andrew type people, they're basically saying the AI has gone crazy and feral earlier than they were hoping.
Yeah.
It's it's causing so much chaos, and they're not even halfway through crawl, and it's already causing problems.
Yeah. Early days, and there's an instability. Yes, Vaden.
For the themes, I really like one thing I always particularly find interesting is the morals of the characters, when it comes down to their situation being this extreme. They're in one of the most extreme situations you can imagine, and seeing what characters do in those situations, how they deal with it, how Maggie and Frank did what they did. Carl
Frankie
and
gave
Donut,
up. Maggie became consumed by vengeance.
Yes, and they also decided to use the divine suffering for that to try to boost their child. And then now we have Carl and Donut, who are eternally loyal to each other and have made great friends with Katya. They've made friends with a lot of other crawlers. They have a whole network of people now. One thing they would continually mention throughout this series, especially in this book too, though, is how the humans are very resilient and work together. A lot more than they try to. The AI and the corporation are literally trying to kill them more than normal because they're doing too well. They are doing better than they should be doing. And it's because they're working better together than they should. And it's because apparently humans are in this galaxy are very cooperative.
More cooperative than they anticipated. Yes, and so they're trying to do things to split them up or to maybe put them into guilds or to turn them against each other in particular ways. I do think that is interesting. One of the questions that I had, because we do learn more about the other crawlers, there are some who are shit. There are some crawlers in here who are doing what they can to survive, who are isolating themselves. I think the reason why Carl has done so well in building friendships and establishing relationships is his integrity. He has so much integrity. He really, truly believes that he can help others He can do the right thing. He has a strong justice piece in there. That's how Carl and I feel like we would get along. Can you have a sense of justice in a place like the Crawl where justice is completely removed and things are supposed to be unfair? It's lighting a fire under his ass, not like lighting a fire in Varas' crotch. Very, very different. She knew what she was doing. They put out all these arrows. What did they think would happen? Anyway, Carl has maintained integrity, something that I find amazing, and a character that I'm adoring more and more, even though we rarely know much, because a lot of the time they are put in different areas and they're having their own adventure quite separate from what's going on. Miriam Dom and Prepotente. A question that I have about Miriam Dom is, how can compassion still remain in the dungeon? She is a middle-aged woman, and you know that she's, she reminds me of my mum a little bit. She's a shepherd. She's an Italian woman who loves her goats, and she is a very motherly figure. And I think one of her true traits is that she's a caretaker. She coddles, Carl back to health. She has Prepotente, who's like number 2 on the board often, and yet seeks Miriam to kind of like coddle him and encourage him and helicopter him a lot of the time. But I think Miriam Dom's compassion is so beautiful and earnest, especially now they're at level 6 in this competition. So I guess now that we're learning more and more about the characters, like Carl is unraveling. Donut's some sort of, what do we even call her? She's starting a riot in a very clever way, an insurrectionist. But Miriam is now a vampire and the most compassionate crawler at the moment, revolutionist, sure. She's now a vampire where she has to drink blood to survive. I mean, they're doing that on purpose. There is a sense of like, show us who you are so we can exploit and punish the good out of you and make it entertaining. Like that's great reality television, isn't it? Oh, this person's scared of snakes. Let's release the snakes. That's so funny. Exploit fear. But to have her sort of compassion exploited, we know that she won't drink from a live animal. She will only drink from a Prepotente kill. So she won't even kill to feed. It's just so fascinating. But she always has time and space for Carl and Donut. Lucia Mar, on the other hand, has anyone got a Miriam conversation or a query or an observation that they want to get into? Are you liking Miriam more as a character? Why not, Jeff? He's like,
I guess I find her, boring. Maybe
we just don't know enough yet.
Well, we do soon, but soon enough anyway. But she she's not even a good vampire, right? She has to have
that's a good thing. She doesn't suck.
But that's, I don't know, like you have to lean into what you're given, right?
So would you rather be in a dark alley with Miriam Dom or Lucia Mar?
Miriam, clearly. Lucia's having mental issues.
Yeah, unstable, I think is a great way to say it. We learn more about Lucia Mar. She's been so interesting as a character. She was a child upon entering the dungeon. She was with her 2 Rottweiler dogs. We didn't know much about her. She was 13, says KP Dubs, or around there. We had really interesting discussions about early Lucia Mar, thinking that maybe she had played video games and was really kind of obsessed with this leveling up process. Another conversation is the fact that she's so young that she is not in a mindset or her mind is way too vulnerable to be in a life or death situation every single day. Her frontal cortex has not developed. Like, how does a child survive? It seems that she was in poverty, I believe, and she was sort of like in a survival mindset as a child, struggling. That's what I thought. It didn't seem like she had a family. Didn't seem like she had a support network. What we have discovered now is that children who enter the dungeon are given youth assistants. Now, this is someone I think nominated by the dungeon, sort of like your Mordecai, your game master, someone I think who has experience with the crawl, is there to sort of aid and help minors. That's what I thought, Colleen. She was a street kid. Salatash says, wasn't Lucia from the favelas in Brazil or something? That's what I'm thinking as well. She had her dogs, but she had a very much like a survival mindset going in. So how is that amplified in these conditions? It sounds more and more though, like she has, the class she chose was really interesting. It's a split class. I think it's 12 hours a day. It's split over 24 hours. For 12 hours a day, she's a beautiful woman who is able to cast spells and has a whole set, a skill set that's based around the woman. On the other side, she's like a half skeleton, half goat sort of entity that is only physical melee damage, and so cannot access the spell slots when it's one side. And so it's this sort of like psychosis, this split personality. And then we're learning that she actually either has someone in her head or has her own sort of split psychoses happening where she's communicating with someone who's not there. We have rarely had instances where Lucia Mar is in the same room or even close to Carl and Donut. She's usually way on the other side of the map. And the only information we got about Lucia Mar were through recaps. Now, we know that recaps are not fact. They are skewed for entertainment value. What's so interesting is Carl is being edited to be a goddamn psycho. He's edited to be unhinged, no compassion, bloodlust, furious, this absolute psycho. And the fact that he's chosen sort of explosives leans into this personality that the edits are showcasing. He looks back at the recap and he's like, that's not how it happened. Or that a massive part of it has been edited out. Or they used a previous time I was laughing with Donut and they've placed it after me blowing up this thing. And so it looks like I'm maniacal. So we don't know how much of the truth is being portrayed when Lucia is in these recaps, but that's all we have to go on. This was the first time that we have a real understanding. And it turns out that she's not probably in control of what's going on. She had dialogue with Donut that was cut out, that was not in the recaps. And we're learning a little bit more about what's happening. Now, the cat killed the wrong one in the showdown with Donut, who again held her own, and who else was incredibly impressed by how she handled that whole situation, the spells that she cast, her foresight in how to handle it. It was 3 against 1. We are realizing and recognizing Donut is so formidable, and she's usually hanging back and firing magic missiles while Carl's getting his hands and feet dirty. But she held her own in this instance, and you're like, okay, Donut, did not see that coming. Managed to decapitate one of the Rottweilers by using Hole and then dispelling Hole. And Lucia says, you killed the wrong one. This is offering way more questions than answers at this stage. Why is that one? Why is Cece the wrong Rottweiler? What's going on with Gustavo? Gustavo? How do you say it?
Gustavo, I think.
Gustavo. Why should that be the dog that should have been killed? Gustavo 3, says KP Dubs. Apparently Cece was the nice one, says Darren. And she was also talking about the fact that Alexandro, who is the youth assistant, is kind of infiltrating her at the moment. So is it an invisible entity? Is Alexandro living in her mind? We don't know. Academic, you got questions, queries, thoughts?
Yeah, and my questions I have no clue what's going on with Lucia Mar because of the conversation that they had with Mordecai, and he said that youth assistants and kids shouldn't be in here. So like, how old is Lucia Mar? Is she not supposed to, like, I'm super confused with this whole situation. Like, did stuff fall through the cracks? Like, I'm so confused. So, like, how is she in here? What's so forth and so on? Yeah.
Well, was she not entered with guardians or parents or someone to look after her? Because that's like Maggie, Mai, and Frank were in there with their daughter. So they were able to guide the daughter through it, and that was fine. She didn't have an assistant, youth assistant. She was by herself. I wonder if there's anything to do with the fact that she was living on the streets. She had to grow up well above her means while she was on Earth. And was that because they took into consideration sort of the intelligence of a child? And I think Lucia Mar seemed well above her years. And that is one thing that when you're a child and you have to play an adult at a young age, you have growing up to do. Otherwise, you don't survive. There's no one to look after you. You have to do it yourself. And I wonder if that's something that kept her in there. And this youth assistant, maybe the AI or the game system, whatever it was, messed it up. It was supposed to be like a Mordecai, but instead, maybe that the youth assistant has baggage of its own that's trying to take revenge out through a child. We don't know. Yes, Aaron.
I'm wondering if like with Lucia, I think she's mentally, like, her emotional maturity is still that of a child, but her like survival ability, like part of her brain, matured so rapidly to that of an adult would in order to like survive. And I'm wondering if like maybe the game itself, the dungeon, like only takes that into effect. Like how well of a survivalist could you be in here, and emotional maturity be damned?
True Scorn said if you've got split personalities and they're both 13, does that mean her age is 26? And that's how she's seen. I also wonder that when you're that young and you're entered into a video game distorted reality, which becomes your new reality, do you have a lost sense of what was? And you are thrown into what is, and you adapt in a way where it's like, this is a game. I'm going to gamify this system. She seems so hell-bent on leveling up, not making friends. I don't know if it's her thought or if it's another's thought that's infiltrating this, but she's taking a very different approach in the dungeon. And I wonder if that's because she's too young and she's almost spent more time here, and this is her new world. But she's collecting teeth or fingers or something, isn't she? She's collecting trophies from her victims. Anyone remember that? Like her whole...
Yes, she is. And the voice in her head says something about it's worth more points or not worth enough points. So something's going on where she's keeping score of something.
Toaster Poster says, is the youth assistant a worm that took over Lucia's mind, like Maggie did to Chris? Well, isn't that a part of is that the Valte or is that the Borant Corporation, where a lot of crawlers who died in the crawl are taken over, and they say that they've been like tadpoled or
like
something? It's very Baldur's Gate 3.
Like the Cuatine, or is that the fish people?
The Cuatine. Is it the Cuatine, or is it or have the Cuatine been infected by the...
No, I think the Valte are the
Valte are, yeah.
That's the
Valte.
Valte.
The Cuatine Zev is the Cuatine.
Yeah, they're fish. I think there's like a American Dad or something where there's like a fish in a bowl. That's how I picture Zev the whole time. Yeah, but it is like a parasite that takes over bodies. And some of the crawlers who die, they will be tadpoled. They will be parasited. And their body now belongs to the Valte, which is like, oof. So yeah, maybe that's what happened to Lucia Mar. Absolutely, that tracks. We just don't know. We don't know enough. And I kind of love that we're in book 5 and we still don't really know, but enough's happening that you're not like bogged down by the unknown, because there's so much of an info onslaught anyway. They also say that
faculty kind of thing.
It's like The Faculty.
Yeah, you ever see the movie The Faculty?
No.
Okay. Or a movie where it's like basically Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Okay, you got to start there. There's a horror movie called, and I will immediately respond with, I haven't seen it.
Fair enough.
No horror over here, except we're doing Nosferatu next month, so yay. KPW says they also say that the worms that are not joined with a body are the weird ones, like the liaison. Ooh, tell me more about that, KPWs.
That was just like a one-line mention, pretty much what I wrote. So I don't know how to elaborate.
But they're dropping hints about things. Yes, Vaden.
I basically had to guess about Lucia. It's just that
Yeah.
like if children aren't allowed and there's something else going on, my guess is just that the person she's talking to could be like someone's in her head, and that person, that creature, whatever it is older, is of age, essentially, is old enough to get through the call. Since that person essentially is considered like the main personality or something, or whatever, or just says it has enough control to fool the system. Then maybe that's how. But
You're right. So it's like it's having a guardian guiding you, helping you make decisions. But if that person's rotten, then is it really helpful? Well, she's number 3? She was number 1 for a long time, so it kind of has been working in one sense of it all. I've got 2 kind of hands up. Yes, academic.
I just want to
Tongues.
mention that
She collects
this
tongues.
I do want to mention that we've gone all the way to 7 o'clock, and we still have yet to mention the Vengeance of the Darter program, which I think is telling for like how boring
it is. So I didn't want to talk about it. It came back. Okay, so there's a couple of things. There's a couple of things in this book have been quite anticlimactic. Signet coming back with a very cookie cutter, no punches sort of storyline. Oh yes, it turns out that my sister survived. My parents, but she took over, and they're in a castle, and so we just have to wipe out their lineage. And honestly, yes, I was like, okay, I did not care at all. And it's like, wait, you want another couple of seasons with this guy? And it felt like it was tacked on with very little substance, except the one thing that Donut said, and that was Signet was trying to fuck Carl. And I was like, okay, now I'm listening. That's exciting. Right? Where's more of that? But no, it's like, I must do this thing. We lost the kindergarten teacher, the caterpillar, but like, we got a whole new set of people, and I feel like sometimes they're just introduced so they can die. And it's a little bit churning through. Miss Nadine, thank you. It's a little bit, but Miss Nadine's death was so sad. Yes. And I really thought the tattoo part of Signet was fascinating, where it was injecting blots of ink, which would then take shape, and it was imbued with a memory so that Miss Nadine will live in Signet forever, and also brought Clive, what's his name? Didn't do enough, so I didn't care. But like, it was one of the students, I believe, who saw Miss Nadine as a mother, and their bond was so Clint, otherwise known as Clunt, was brought in, and so like his memory survived through that as well, and Signet's ability of, you know, bringing her tattoos to life, like that's cool. But this whole story, boring. And it's like, why are we doing this? Lisa's saying, and the AI hinting to Carl that he needs to remember how he flipped over the large boss. That's probably going to come back later. Now that's thanks to Samantha. Kill your mother.
But the scary part about all of this is that Carl has made some sort of plan with Quasar, so like that relies on the Vengeance of the Daughter succeeding as a show, right? Like, and that they'll continue
phoning it in. Yeah.
So yeah, that's another thing to keep an eye out for.
Look, pay your writers more. I don't know what else to say. The writers' room are phoning it in on this one. Signet barely cares. Why do we care? But you're right. I had a question in the document here. The Vengeance of the Daughters subplot. How is it being back with the familiar characters, the elites and the NPCs? But honestly, like, why is this important? Will we see more of it? Do we care? How can we care? Darren says it is tied into the Butchers Masquerade, so it should pick up eventually. That's the hope that we have. Another thing that I wanted to talk about was the Return of Beatrice. Now, I know we're running over, and if you've got a scoot, I totally get it. I wafted for 45 minutes. I'm sorry. I got to get better about that, but the wine was flowing. Beatrice has been a massive, almost MacGuffin, I guess, from book 1. We immediately were not led to like Beatrice. She was using Carl. She was cheating on Carl. She was not a good person. Donut and Carl have each other, and they're better than ever. Odette has sent bounty hunters to try and retrieve Beatrice. It's happened. This should be huge. Odette has a special, but gave them a heads up. I don't want to put you on the spot. I've got Beatrice. This is going to be a reuniting. Donut knows how to play a crowd, how to put on a performance, how to make something shine and shimmer. They were so disinterested in this interview. They had disconnected, detached, and shut down. Donut was licking her paw, barely even looking at Beatrice. It was not good programming. It was very anticlimactic. I remember the first time I was listening to this, I was like, why did we have 4 books building up this moment? And I felt a little let down by it. Now that I'm on my second listen through, I kind of understand more motives, why this is happening. Donut is actually getting a sense of ownership over her life. I think that's been heavily influenced by Carl, who is sick of being a puppet and having his own strings pulled, which is actually his life. So they took control over that situation by not playing into it, by not providing a spectacle, by making it as signet as possible, to use that as an adjective or a noun. Toaster Poster says, I was proud of Donut for keeping everything under control. I'm not reading that, Darren. Colleen says, Donut came through off camera. Exactly. As soon as the cameras weren't rolling, Donut exploded. And I want to personally shout out to Jeff Hayes for making this monologue so incredible. The emotion that was put through for a cat expressing to her previous owner, and I believe there is a quote in the document here. I was so stupid because I thought since I loved you, that meant that you loved me. And it started off going, you vile, disgusting bitch. You danced with me. You sang with me. You made me feel loved. I didn't do anything wrong, and you were going to give me away. You are not my person anymore. Carl is. He's always been. That was so impacting. That was so well done. And I think they're learning to play the game better. And even Odette was a little bit like, well done. Well played. Aaron, you got thoughts?
I think everything what you just said
not
is
academic, but not.
But was on point. But I also think there was like one other motive is Carl and Donut also don't want her to be a pawn used against them.
Mm-hmm.
Like Donut meant exactly what she said, like what you just quoted. But the other line later is like, we should just basically not give a shit about
because
you.
If we're not interested, then the audience isn't going to be interested, and they're not going to want to see this. Yeah,
right,
it makes so much sense now. But when I first read it, I was like, wah, wah, are you kidding? But now it makes a lot more sense. It's my second read.
Yeah.
It's well done. Academic said it
Especially
almost makes Maude love cats.
Happening later, there's like so much more layers to this. Like, granted, everything that Dinman does, like everything seems like a throwaway moment until something else happens to bring it back, and it's like, no, this is like the most important thing you need to pay attention to.
So I thought that was really interesting. I also have one last question that I'm going to go into. The Vraz storyline with the mantises. Is this too similar to what's going on with the, what's the orc family? What's the orc family? The Skull Empire. And Donut in the first level put on the Tiara of the Sepsis. What was that one? Sorry, guys. I should have had this written down, but I just rely on people to tell me.
Sepsis whore.
Thank you. I didn't want to say that. I did. I passed that on to someone else to say, I played dumb. I got someone else to do it for me. But they have to eliminate every single person from that family on the 9th level, which was a then problem, not a now problem. But KP Dubs in all capitals. There are no throwaways. is this mantis eradication, so to speak, picking a fight with the entire family and needing to wipe out everyone. You pick a fight with one, you pick a fight with all, sort of thing. And there was even a mention of this. Well, if you're doing that, you got to make sure you take them all out because you don't want anyone to survive to come for you. They've already taken out all the lizards in the first stage, and now there's like any amphibian or adjacent is a 20% sort of like less damage, and they do more damage to you. Game Witches Ascend, once you wear it, you are locked in. Get rid of that family, whether you keep wearing that tiara or not anymore. She's not even wearing it anymore. And it was Eve who is important, because that is why Katia no longer is in that group, because her vengeance is taking the wheel at the moment. She found out the truth about Eve, trying to get her killed, and now she's trying to kill Eve, who is in the top 10. I believe she's in the number 8 spot at the moment. So Katia is zeroed in on Eve. Eve has the tiara of the Sepsis Hall at the moment. This is going to be something that takes place on level 9. We're only on level 6, but do you think this whole Mantis thing is to prep for that? Or is it like, kill everyone? Spoiler. How is that a spoiler? What did I spoil? You're not even going to tell me what I spoiled? What did I spoil? No one's going to tell me what I spoiled? Well, if you missed it, you missed it. I don't think I did.
I think he means that is going to be resolved on floor 9, but I mean, that's not really spoiler because they told us it's supposed to happen then.
That's not true. Katia says something in the first half of the book. Yes, she does, about going after Eva. She says something in the first half of the book. I swear. Unless I fucked up. I could have fucked up. There's a very big potential. I listened to 3/4 of chapter 39. Not about the crown. No. Oh, you don't know about the fuck. That's what you don't know?
Oh yeah. She's trying to get all the daughters from Eva.
Yeah. Let's pretend that's what I was talking about. My bad. You do know she's going. You do know. The first half of the book, she's zeroed in on wanting to get at Eva, which is why she took away from. But you didn't know that Eva had the crown. That's my bad. Now you do. It doesn't change much. The crown dissipated and was going to be put back in there. Oh my God, I'm terrible. And it always happens right at the end where I could have stopped talking. I was about to go. I was about to call it. We're over time. I was going to leave and I had. It's like I do it on purpose, and I promise you I don't. Hey, JDog517, thank you so much for following. Let's repeat it 12 more times. Okay. There are more questions in the doc if we want to talk about that and continue the discussion in the show chat, which is a member perk only. Members have access to the document with all of my thoughts in it. Members have access to the show chat where we talk about everything that happened in these shows. We can continue that discussion. I'm sorry for spoiling. Hey, your homework, finish the book. Apparently I say book weird. Do I say book weird?
Nope.
I didn't think so.
Good for an Aussie.
Toast says, thanks for the stream, Maude. Good night, everyone. General Buddy Bear has just followed. Thank you so much. We're wrapping things up here. We are going to be talking about the rest of the book and full spoilers. Anything we didn't touch on tonight, we will get to next week. Thursday, a week from now. I also am so excited to announce that the week after that, is it a week after? Let me check my calendar. No, it is the 2nd. So the second half of the book for 2 hours, we'll be talking about it in a week. And then 6 days later, Wednesday, the 2nd of October, tune in from 5 until 6. We're interviewing Matt Dinnerman. We're chatting with Matt again. We spoke about Matt's first 2 books. So we covered books 1 and 2, interviewed Matt. We covered books 3 and 4, interviewed Jeff Hayes, the narrator. Now that it's book 5, we're back chatting to Matt. If you're a member, you get to ask Matt questions. I will be your voice piece. I will ask them directly to him, and I will say it is from a particular name. There are clips going around on TikTok and on Reels saying, KP Dubs asks. So you literally get your questions asked directly to these authors. If you're a Dungeon Crawler Carl fan, do not miss that one. October 2nd, 5 until 6. Terry says, is the show going to be live or animated? It will be live. So you can tune in for that one. Do not miss it. If you're a member, get your questions in. I've already got a couple of questions that I have been planning. Let me know if they're any good. Condoms across planet is my first question. Just felt like that was important. The decision to have hunters on level 6, talk about that. Carl needing a lawyer, talk about that. He managed to ruin wearing red lipstick for me. I really liked wearing red lipstick until this book.
I'm going to kill your mother.
We didn't even talk about Samantha. One of the questions I want everyone to answer in the show chat, do you feel like Samantha had enough to do in this book? Or is she just heading through the plot? I had to. All right, everyone, let's raid. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you all next week. Who should we raid? We don't have to even raid anyone if we don't want to. Anyone got a suggestion? Academic. I haven't finished the book. How did I know? You have finished and you know exactly what the answer is. Samantha. I'll kill your mother. I'll kill them all. Oh, we don't have to raid. Bye, everyone.